Welcome to Board Game Empire. We're going to be showing you a brief overview and review of Magnate The First City. So we've had this game for a while. We just needed to have time to really delve into and play it. I will warn you, this game is one of those games where you need to dedicate like a half of your day to learn it, be able to play it, and I would advise going through the tutorial game versus just learning by reading the book. I have to say kudos to the developer of this game. They put a lot of thought and a lot of time into this game before putting it out. There's a whole deck of tutorial cards. It's the tutorial deck that you go through one by one, so it breaks it up into little bite-sized pieces instead of trying to get it in all at once. And no matter how many players are playing, it has you play as 5 players. So I played 3 of the companies, and Anthony played 2. And then once you get to the end of the tutorial where you play a couple rounds, then you get rid of, you just go down to the live players. So we played as a 2-player game to finish it out, and they even balance out the game to where it's more, if you were playing a full game as a 2-player in our case, where we were at, they basically made adjustments. You just read card to card, making the adjustments. So so you would be around the same time frame you were if you started as fresh as just playing a normal game.
Yeah, they added the risk with the bottom right green corner. Those risk cards that actually make the game go faster after the tutorial.
Yeah, they have you out of like, you take away everything completely from the companies that were the dummy hands or dummy companies, and then you just start from there playing a normal game until the crash track reaches 0. So it is a lot to learn in this game, and they did a great job. The rule book's amazing, and the tutorial cards really made a big difference. There's 78 of them, and you just go through them, and when it says stop, you stop and do whatever action you need to do until you get to that part, and then you do the next card. So the tutorial took a while, but at the end of it, we did fully understand the game, and we're able to play it from there on out as a normal game. Again, you're more than welcome to read the book and do it that way. They just suggest you do it.
And there are player aids that also assist in that learning process.
Right. And they have you keep those out, and you can always just put them back in. And that's another cool thing. The tutorial cards are numbered, so you can always put that deck back together if you think you might, like, you're not going to play this game for a while and you might need to do that again, or if you trade it, the next person will have that. But this is basically a city building economic game. The best way that I could think to explain it is
with blind bidding.
Yes, is Monopoly on steroids, but it's nothing like Monopoly. It's just in the sense that you're placing buildings and buying properties, but there's no take that in this game. There's no collecting from other players. You're specifically just trying to get the most money at the end of the game by buying land, buying various levels of buildings, attracting tenants, selling that land and the buildings, and you want to have all your buildings sold before the market crashes to 0, because at the end of the game, you'll be selling them for almost nothing versus probably what you paid for it. And the amount you get progresses in the game. You get more and more as the land price goes up. The land price will keep going up throughout the game until the very end. It drops down dramatically once the market crashes. So you start out basically by, you choose who the first player is going to be, and I have this cool little, it's actually a little bulldozer that actually rolls, but this is the first player marker. Thought that was a nice touch, but you start out figuring out who, in the very beginning of the game, you figure out who the first player is. Beyond that point, on other rounds, you'll be bidding for first player. So you do pass this from turn to turn clockwise. However, other players have the opportunity to bid to take that away if they want. We never spent money bidding for first place. We just kept it, whoever was first, we just played that way because we wanted to save our money for buying land and buildings. So you start out, figure out who the first player is. You use this property market board based on how many players. This is for 2 players. There's a 3-player version. There's a 4 and 5-player version. So it depends on how many players you have. That's the property market board you use. You use your round tracker here. You'll start out with turn order. That's where you're bidding for turn order. Next goes to attract tenants. So right now, in the beginning, there wouldn't be buildings, but in your next rounds, if you bought some buildings, you would roll dice depending on how many, based on the where you're located what adjacent to bonuses, and so you would choose a plot. So say I had this here. Actually, let's put a house down. Say there was a house here, and I had my building here that I was trying to figure out.
That's for the house.
Oh.
This is for the...
Okay. So this building here, that is a small office building. It has a tenant capacity of 1. So you would be able to possibly earn one of these tenants. If it has a capacity of more than 1, you could try to win more than those. So in this instance, you determine the number of dice. So and you can place advertising tokens if you want to kind of give yourself a leg up on the dice. You would just put it here in the advertising space on the property market board. And depending on how many you put, that basically for each advertising marker, you can automatically change the dice to whatever number you need to meet that goal. So basically the way you figure out the attracting tenants is you go by your bonuses, and so and how many adjacent properties have the buildings that this is trying to attract. So an office building wants more houses because it needs more workers. So in the vicinity that actually has a population, this one doesn't have any tenants, but however, this is adjacent, this neighborhood. You've got 3 tenants on each of these apartment buildings, so that's 6. It's only looking for housing. So that's 6 dice you get to roll, plus then if you have bonuses, which you do because there's a house in your neighborhood, that gives you a +1 bonus. So that would be, you can automatically add 1 pip to every one of your dice after you roll them. So you roll 6 dice, and if you are trying to get 4, 5 or higher, 4 dice that are 5 or higher. And so however many advertising markers you use, you lose them no matter what. You get to change that automatically to a 5. So you're rolling 6 dice. You have a somewhat okay chance of rolling 4 5s. You might want to use a couple of advertising markers because you have to get 4 5s or more to get that 1 office space. But if you grab it, if you do it, you get to put that there, and that is worth $800,000 in rent. So once you attract your tenants and you've done all your buildings, if you're done because you want to be, or if you have no more capacity for tenants, then you would collect your rent. So you would collect $800,000 for that building at the end of the attract tenant. Then all the other players do the same thing. Then you move the round tracker to the first action. The actions you can do are buy land. You buy that at whatever the land price here is on the property market board. It starts out at $300,000,
yeah.
I think. We didn't start on this board, so I think it starts out at $300,000. So any land you buy, you would just take the for sale sign and put your business marker on there to show you own it. You can buy land adjacent to properties you own that aren't for sale. for double the going land price. So you would just buy that and put your marker there, and in a future turn, you can put a building there if you want. You can build, whereas you place the building of your choice. There's many to choose from, all different levels of pricing. You could buy a house for $400,000. The apartment buildings are $3 million. The small office building costs $1.9 million. If you get the superior office block, that's $6 million. You need to build up to that, and you do that by selling off your property. Then retail units are $1.2 million. That's a retail unit. Then you've got your shopping malls. Those are $4.5 million to buy.
They also give the superior office, and the shopping mall gives you a bonus.
Right, when you're selling them, you get a +1 bonus, and I'll go over that in just a minute. You've got your industrial units and industrial parks. So the industrial parks are $4 million, and these are $1 million. I know that sounds like a lot, but you start out the game with $2 million. So you're just going to constantly be recycling by buying land, adding buildings, and then you'll do your 3 actions. The actions are buy land, build, advertising. Advertising is where you can just gain 2 more advertising tokens. You can also pay an additional $500 if you want extra tokens, although I don't think that's a good use of your money, but you can just consult and get whatever the current land price is. You get that amount of money to add to your little wallet. Or you can sell. That's when you are adding, you get 1 for the land, 1 for the building, 1 for each tenant. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there's 3 tenants on that thing. Plus 1 for any bonuses. You get another one, so you're at 6. So it would be 6 times whatever the going price is for land when you sell that.
That's a house bonus.
Oh, it's for houses in the...
Oh, okay, yeah.
So 6 times... So if the land was at $300,000, you'd get $1.8 million, and you sell that, and that's money you have to spend for future land and buildings. And you just keep doing that, and you're trying to build up to buy those office blocks and shopping malls within the time that you have before the market crashes. Because after you do your 3 actions, then you do the property market board, which that's when you figure out if you need to draw risk cards. So if you don't have any available tenants, or if one of those are missing, if you're down to 3, you don't do anything. But if there's only 2 left, two choices, you would draw 2 risk cards. Or if there's only one choice, you would draw 3 risk cards. We never had to draw risk cards for these. Then you go down to the land price zone, whatever it's at. If it's in green, no risk card. If it's in yellow, because the price is going to keep rising, you have to draw 1 risk card, and it just goes up from there. Then you go to your the advertising.
Oh, yeah.
If no one used any advertising tokens, you have to draw a risk card. If 2 were used, nothing happens. If 3 were used, you go up +1 on the land price. Then then you go to the plots sold by players. So each time someone sells a building, you're going to cover one of these spots. Whatever the next spot showing is what you, as far as risk cards and however many. So the land price would go up 3 on that one, and you would draw 1 risk card. The risk cards, whatever you draw, you go by the top number, not the bottom. You're going to be lowering the crash track until it gets to 0. Once it gets to 0, you're going to add up all of these numbers on the bottom of all the risk cards you have, and you're going to be lowering the land price for that much. So you could see how, I think ours got up to 1.2 million for land price, and it dropped all the way down to 300,000. So if you bought land at 1.2 million and you're having to sell that in an expensive building for 300,000
loss
times whatever, you're figuring out the sale price, but you're multiplying it by 300,000, you're going to pretty much lose money, or maybe possibly break even, depending on how many bonuses and things you have. But basically, this is a quick nutshell of how to play this game. But you're just doing that every round, and at the end of each round, you're going to be adding more tenants, adding more for sale lands. You'll just be drawing these for sale tokens, putting them on whatever plot it says, and you just go from there. There's a lot going on in this game. There's a lot to do, and it does take a while to digest, especially the selling. That tripped me up. The attracting tenants was a little hard to figure out at first, and then when you're selling, because there's a lot of calculating things that are adjacent to you, these bonuses, and just everything. You've got to keep all that in mind. And the city center, no one can land there. These are simply used to determine how many dice you can roll, because their neighborhood is adjacent to all of the neighborhoods. So no matter what, you're going to get probably 4 to 6 dice to roll, no matter what, because of this. What helps you is when there's more of these that you need to factor in the neighborhood that you're in. So that's what really bumps it up. We never roll more than 6 dice. I think maybe 7 once. I rolled 7. It was always 6 dice. It seemed like we were rolling, but definitely it's a well thought out, complex game. Definitely a midweight game. This is not for beginners, but if you enjoy economic games, city building games, this is definitely one you might want to check out. It's the components are amazing, and the rule book, and they just put so much thought into everything. Like, I've never seen a game that has a tutorial like this, that you're going card through card. We had to take a lot of breaks, because that's a lot of reading and a lot of brain power you're using to learn all this.
You will factor in probably 2-3 hours just on the tutorial.
Yeah, and that's why they do the adjustments, but that's with breaks and everything.
Yeah.
That wasn't straight 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
We took a lot of little breaks, because that's a lot of cards to go through. That's 78 cards, and you're digesting all that information, so you are going to need some breaks. So we took a lot of breaks, and you're just going to spend time with that, and then they do adjustments, like I said, at the end of the tutorial, so you can play a normal game, and it won't add on a ton of time to finish the game. We probably only spent, maybe 40 more minutes? 40 to 50 minutes after doing the tutorial actually playing the game normally. So it gives you a good taste of playing the game, and it's balanced out. You get to choose which companies you want to keep of the 3. The tutorial, it always ends the same way with these companies, because they factor in, they're basically kind of setting the deck of what dice you're going to get and things, so they can show you an example of everything. I think at the very end there might be a little luck. They kind of leave you with the dice, but they still let you get the tenants, because they want to show you what happens when you get the tenants. But even if your dice don't turn out to be what it should be to gain that. But it's very well thought out. So what did you think of this game?
I really like the components. It's probably one of the best component quality game that we played. Even just the box, the inserts, and everything, just very well thought out. The little pieces, you also can put your little piece on top of these little...
they're little slots for your company logo.
Yeah,
on everything but the houses.
Yeah, really cool design. They thought everything. Really impressed with it. So components, very impressed. Mechanics, really strategic mechanics. There's so much to do in this game, and so many different things to look at. You're going to be pretty much, as your opponent's taking their turn, you're plotting and you're going to be strategizing. So it's like you're always thinking in this game, because you have to stay ahead of your opponent. So very strategic, very impressed with the mechanics. Like I said, it's blind bidding, economics, kind of like you're buying and selling properties. You're also getting tenants. There's just so much different types of like things you have to micromanage. So very impressed with the mechanics. And so replayability, high replayability. Well, I would say medium because it's a lot to set up, and to relearn it, you could be relearn unless you play this often, like every month. You're going to be relearning it. It's going to take a while to relearn it, but it shouldn't be that hard the second time. So, but the replayability is kind of limited because of the time frame of the game, setup, relearning. So overall total, I'm giving this like an 8.5. I'm very impressed with this game. I really think this is a great game that it blows Monopoly and like other economic games. This is like, for me, what I feel economic games should be. So very impressed. 8.5 out of 10.
So yeah, I'm like you said, the inserts, even the money. The money is so cool. Like the money's high quality. They even have an insert for the money, so you have a little tray to keep it in. They have a little insert that comes out for your tokens. Just they thought of every little thing. It's really cool. They made it. I could tell they put a lot of thought into making it as easy as possible to learn this game and know. Like, we never had any question at all on what the components were because they did such a great job. There's so many player aids. There's a ton of player aids in this game. There's one with icons. There's one that you pull out for how to bid and attract tenants. They even give you a rule book index, which there's an index in front of the book anyway, but just things, key pages that they know you might need to look up really quick when you're still learning the game. They just put so much thought into this, which tells me they must have play tested this quite a bit to be able to work all that out. And just the time it took to do this tutorial deck. I mean, I've done PowerPoint presentations and things, or procedure protocol where you're doing screenshots and things at work. This kind of stuff takes a long time.
I remember in Washington
to work out.
When you did that book.
Yeah.
For that.
I mean, I know this took them a long time to work out and to be able to foresee every 5 players doing this and this and this. So you've got this result, so they could show all the different aspects of the game while you're learning. I mean, that kudos to whoever did that. I know that took a lot of patience and time.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely, I would give this a 9. It's an excellent game. However, like he said, it does take time to set up, and we wouldn't be able to play this that often, so we're going to have to relearn it. I know we won't need to do the tutorial. No. We'll be able to look at the book, but it will take a chunk of time just to refresh ourselves of how to play this game. And so this is one of those games we would play like when I had a long break from work, like a vacation time that I'm taking, when we're just dinking around for several days doing whatever we want, playing board games. This is one of those type games when you've got a half day to just spend on a strategic game when you're in that mood, because it's definitely all strategy. There's a little bit of luck when you're rolling the dice, but again, you can control that by getting these advertising tokens. And as you play this more, you would kind of figure out what ratio of tokens you should play versus how many dice you're rolling. And I could see if they were playing with a higher player count. Say with a 2-player, there weren't as many buildings out, but I could see if you were playing with a higher player count, because when we were playing with the 5-player dummy companies, there was quite a bit of buildings out there, so you would be rolling a lot more dice. I mean, they give you quite a bit of dice to roll for that, so the more buildings, the more bonuses you're more likely to get. And tenants, you'll have tenants because you're basing it on the amount of tenants that are in your neighborhoods that are adjacent. So the more tenants you have, the more dice you're going to roll. So it's an amazing game, amazing components. I can't praise it enough. I feel bad we haven't. I don't know how long we even had this game.
Quite a long time.
They sent us this a while ago, so I feel bad that we've not had the time to play it before now. But I'm glad we did, and we waited till we had the time to really just focus on this game and do it right. So hopefully this video helped you to decide whether this is a game you want to add to your collection, but just keep in mind this is a midweight game.
Oh yeah.
You need to kind of have basic game mechanics under your belt to be able to grasp this game. But if you have, it's an easy game to learn. It just takes time because there's just so much going on. Did you have anything you wanted to add? So we will put the link in the description if you want to check out this game for yourself. We thank you for watching. Please feel free to leave a comment or question. We'll hope you give this video a like. Please subscribe to our channel if you're not already. Thank you for watching it, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.